The dynamic strength index is nonsense. The dynamic strength index is the peak force output in an athletic task, like a vertical jump, divided by the peak force output in another more beneficial context to produce higher forces, like a back squat or an isometric mid-thigh pull. Boiled down into simple terms, it can be viewed as the strength potential test. The dynamic strength index is supposed to tell you how much of your maximal force potential is actually manifesting when you perform some sort of sports action. And according to this evaluation, the higher your DSI is, the more efficient you are at producing high forces rapidly. But this is a flawed concept. All the dynamic strength index is just a ratio. Peak ballistic force to maximal force potential. According to this evaluation, the higher your DSI is, let's say like a 0.85, your training should place a higher emphasis on maximal strength training as opposed to ballistic training. And the lower your DSI is, your training should emphasize rate of force development over maximal strength training. But here are some problems with the DSI. How do we know what an optimal DSI is? We don't. And if we could know what a DSI score is, how can it be scaled from individual to individual to meet one's needs? Why is body mass not an important factor that's considered? Why are other anatomical factors not considered? An athlete's DSI score will be dependent on the method of testing one of the variables. Counter movement vertical jump versus squat jump versus broad jump, or a 1RM back squat versus an isometric mid-thigh pull. How do we know an athlete is going to respond the way we want due to a change in his training? We don't. What the dynamic strength index is really proposing is an attempt to change an athlete's load velocity profile. And as I've mentioned before, this isn't inherently a good thing. It's a crapshoot. Changing an athlete's load velocity profile can actually reduce his performance. And it places an emphasis on the middle of the profile. It doesn't necessarily change the endpoint. And all athletes' load velocity profiles are relatively linear, but deviate in its linearity along the curve no matter what. And we have no way of knowing what an optimal slope is for anyone. And all of the ways that we can produce force is specific to the context that we're in. The dynamic strength index doesn't give any useful or actionable data. You could be really strong, really powerful, and really heavy, just like me, and have a really low dynamic strength index score. Mine is like a 0.45. And the assumption based on the dynamic strength index score is that you have a deficit in rate of force development, and you need to improve your ballistic outputs. But I'm 5'10", 235 pounds, and can dunk a basketball. I've pretty much tapped out my rate of force development potential, and I'm not going to improve it much more no matter what I do. And there are other questions and concerns regarding the dynamic strength index, but I think I've made my point here. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.